Welcome to Coleman Report Live. I'm Bob Coleman, and we're talking Main Street and the small business lenders who help it grow. Lance, good to see you. Katie, good to see you. Happy New Year, all. Ton of questions. Please send them. Go back to that certificate, Joseph. Please download these and keep track of these at your office, because Lance is going to be doing a webinar next week on ready for your 2021 review / audit, and this is one of the first things SBA wants to know. So whether it's us or NAGO or NADCO or SBA or SCORE or SBDCs or whoever, be sure and keep track of all that. All that stuff works, right, Lance?
That's exactly right, Bob. And training is going to be critical in 2021. It always is, but with the difficulties that we've been through in 2020, as well as it looks like we're going to go through challenges in 2021. Training's very important.
Portfolios are going to explode. There's going to be certain niches in terms of commercial real estate that we're going to have to pay attention to. SBA has a whole new set of guidelines for monitoring lenders. So training and what SBA wants to do, plus a change in administration and a change of, looks like the Senate. All this stuff is going to impact what you do. Now, I will make this one comment. I don't see any major changes for the lending programs or what's going on. It's always been bipartisan. There's support on the Hill for that. SBA is not one of the flashpoint hot topic issues, so I wouldn't lose any sleep over that. I know we'll have John Riosty on tomorrow, and he can go into that more. But Lance and Katie, I assume, what do you think about that statement?
Well, I've been through a handful of administrators, Bob, and while I was an employee at SBA, I was involved with two different administrators, and as an SBA lender, I don't know exactly how many, Bob, but I think SBA is in its strongest position in my career as an SBA lender.
That's a good observation. Yes.
Not too long ago, the SBA administrator became a cabinet level position. PPP certainly elevated SBA to a brand new level of importance. And I honestly think SBA is in the best position it's been during my career.
Yeah, I think those are well thought out statements. Katie, any you want to add to that?
Well, I certainly haven't been in the business nearly as long as you and Lance have, but I do think it's going to continue having a lot of bipartisan support. I don't see that changing anytime soon. Everybody really loves small businesses. Everybody knows a mom and pop business that they're excited to get back to. I don't see anything major changing.
Well, and Bob and I have lived through several times when they were trying to eliminate the SBA. That's happened 3 or 4 times in my career. But again, my feeling is SBA is in a really strong spot right now, and it's time for us to make that work.
Well, fortunately, cooler heads have prevailed and say, hey, wait a minute, small business, they employ people, that makes the economy go, and employees are voters, and so they've made that. But a lot of small businesses are hurting, and we need these regulations to be enacted. We have a number of poll questions. Let's go to them. Number 1, are you advising borrowers to hold up their 7(a) transactions until further clarity from the regulators?
Well, and this is a good question, Bob. I think that a lot of it depends on the transaction, Bob. You may have a business acquisition that has to close now.
Right.
But in some circumstances, maybe you've got a 504 refinance that really doesn't matter if it closes this month or next month. You may delay.
Yeah, but I mean, at 50
benefit of your customer.
Yeah, 56% say yes, 39% no. That's a huge number, Lance.
Well, I'm not surprised at all, because in my daily walk, there are a couple of projects where we've got all the information, we're ready to go, but we're going to slow down just a little bit until we fully understand how the new law affects these loans.
All right, this is not a trick question, but we ask it to reinforce the fact that this is going to happen. So do you see SBA taking a more proactive role in regulation? Lance, we'll let you go out on a limb on this one, Lance.
Yeah, this is a tough question, Bob. The answer is absolutely yes. Not only has SBA become certainly has bipartisan support, and Congress is more interested in SBA than ever, and as a result of that, they are giving SBA some enforcement power.
Yeah. And I don't have an issue with the people who voted no, Katie, because SBA has gotten smarter. They're going after what they view as higher risk lending operations, which is tremendous amount of growth, niche lending into specific NAICS codes. And if you're a lender that's doing what you did last year and the year before and your portfolio looks okay, you're not going to have any issues, are you, Lance?
No, but there's some of the metrics that are red flags that sometimes I would disagree with. You know, SBA wants you to grow. They want you to originate SBA loans. I went to work at a institution who had only done 2 SBA loans, and we put 60 on the books in the first full year. That's significant growth, and it was a red flag. But you know, we were doing it the right way, and certainly SBA recognized that.
504 CARES Act payments include the first and second lien positions. True, 18%, false, 76%.
And the answer is it's only the debenture issue that gets the CARES Act payments.
And we're still unclear in terms of exactly what the dates are, so we're sort of holding off on that. But we do get this question a lot. We do want to reinforce that the first lien needs to be maintained by the borrower.
Now, there's some questions about CARES Act payments because all the existing funded debenture issues will get the CARES Act payments. But the question is, what happens to the ones done between September 30th and February 1st?
This is an issue. This is an issue that Katie's following and agents, and we want to know: are you planning on working with agents on the next PPP go around? And Katie, I do agree with Chris Stern. We probably should come up with some terminology, whether we're going to call this 3.0, 4.0, or whatever. What is your sense of what's happening? 78% say no. Does that seem reasonable to you?
Yeah, for the most part, this stuff is coming to the lenders pretty directly, and there were some issues with agents in the first round, and whatever we're calling the second round or whatever it is. But this is what I'm hearing pretty much across the industry is most of them aren't really, either they aren't needing the agents or they're concerned about how that's going to be handled with PPP.
Yeah, and I understand, Lance, we deal with borrowers, we also deal with agents, and they're saying, hey, the regs said that we get X amount of dollars and I did all this work. Now I'm not getting any money from the lender. How do you respond to that as a lender?
Well, I mean, the problem that I saw in the last one, that's not from my bank's perspective, this is just my personal opinion, is if the agent contacted the bank and the bank agreed to work with the agent funneled projects to them, then they should be paid. But if the agent did not have a relationship with the lending institution and they just worked with some clients, then I don't think to pay. So
yeah,
and honestly, in this round, there's supposed to be a simplified application. So most borrowers should be able to handle it on their own.
And finally, we want to know, did you pay agents employed by borrowers on the first go around or only those that you hired? And I think when we say hired, we're talking about we have an existing relationship with them. Yeah, we paid by agents employed. Looks like it's across the board, Lance, on what they had. In other words, there is truly no best practice out there, is there?
Well, and I think one of the things that's critical in the first PPP application had a box that you checked if you used an agent. And that would let the bank know. But again, if you're an agent, you're wanting to work PPP loans, then you need to talk to the bank you want to refer those PPP loans to.
Katie, we have a couple of new members of the Small Business Committee on the House side. Why is that important to this discussion?
Well, it is important to know who our representatives are who are focusing on the small business issues. And of course, just kind of knowing who's handling what. I kind of looked into it ahead of time just to see what these people are working on. Dean Phillips has been very active already in handling small business issues. He helped work on a lot of the COVID relief legislation and even had a hand in the PPP bill that was adopted by the Problem Solvers Caucus. So he's already been very involved in this, so it's no surprise that he's joined. Carolyn Bordeaux has also been kind of focused on small business and really recently more so, really focusing on economic recovery for long-term success, more community development infrastructure, cutting some red tape for small businesses, and focusing on retaining skilled workers. Those are the things that she's listed as her top issues that she wants to focus on. And then finally, Maureen Newman is focused on fixing some tax code issues to make it more fair for small businesses, making it easier for small businesses to get loans, making it easier for healthcare issues for employers, and she really wants to work across the aisle on those issues.
Very good. We will have more in-depth coverage on the politics of this situation tomorrow when we get John Riosny on. But we're still in a holding pattern, correct, Katie, in terms of nothing's been released from SBA in terms of forms or guidance, whatever. We're still waiting for that to happen, correct?
Correct. I've been looking and there is nothing yet, but we hope to probably have something today, or if not this week, probably.
We hope. Well, let's go to questions, Lance and Katie. Number one, is it correct that for the 3 months, 8 months for hotels, SBA payments in the new COVID bill, the SBA loan cannot be passed due? Interesting question, Lance.
Well, unless there's a change in the regulations that are put out by SBA, you need to encourage your borrowers to get their loans current and in good standing to take advantage of the CARES Act payments.
We have a question on what is the approval date, origination date. This had to do with the SBA 504 loan. What is your feeling, Lance?
The approval date in any SBA circumstance is the date SBA issues a loan number. So on a 7A loan, if you're putting in, and I know this is 504, but a 7A loan, if you're putting it in SBA 1 or ETRAN and you get an approval number, that's the approval date. On a 504 loan, those are submitted by the CDC to the SBA for approval prior to the new 504 Express we should be seeing roll out, but right now they're submitted to SBA for approval. So when the SBA loan number is issued, that is the approval date.
One of the reasons why we did have the 56% of our respondents saying, hey, we're going to hold off on processing these loans is exactly for this reason, and that is we are hypothetically available. Go to the next slide, Joseph. Available for another round of stimulus, right, Lance? I mean, that's why we're holding off.
Well, that's exactly the point. Let's say you're working on a project right now and you gathered all the information and your bank has internally approved it, but you've not put it into SBA system. And in the SBA world, until it goes in and a loan number is issued, it's not approved.
Question regarding payroll cost calculations. We don't see too many changes in that. What is it? Includes 1099 contractors, or does it include that, or only employees? As merchants apply for the second draw, can they include their 1099 contractors in payroll cost? You need to advance to the slides there, Joseph.
Yeah,
there we go.
I think I look forward to some clarity when I think they will issue some clarity in the regulations here. 1099 contractors, they can apply on their own. So if you're an employer who issues 1099s, the people you issue the 1099s to can apply for a PPP loan, not the person issuing the 1099s.
But can the employer also, can they include that in the payroll cost?
No,
No, they can't. Okay.
not unless they change things. Not unless they change things.
In considering a first PPP loan under the second draw program, does all criteria revert to original PPP requirements, i.e. 500 employees?
That's my understanding, Bob, unless we see something different. Back to that previous question about 1099 employees, it would be simpler if they allowed the business owner who issues the 1099s to collect the 1099s and use that as the basis for their PPP loan and not cause a 1099 employee to have to apply for their own.
Yeah, that would be interesting. We'll see what happens on that. SBA has a lot of work to do, right, Katie?
They definitely do. And I think at least they've got a couple days on some of these things. There were some that they had up to like 25 days, I believe, on some of the forgiveness issues. So I think they definitely have at least a little bit of time on some issues, but hopefully we'll get the basic guidance here real soon.
Regarding 1099s, one lender wants to know, hey, do we have to send a 1099 if we have a, quote, sort of a loan forgiveness situation? The answer on this one, Lance, is no, correct? Yeah.
No, the new bill took that out of the loop. In fact, I had a conversation with a customer, the idle grant money now is not reduced from forgiveness. And most institutions have probably had someone that's paid back that amount. And, they either need to reverse that and refund it to the customer and wait for SBA to send it. But, there's some circumstances in this new bill where there's going to be some servicing activity on the part of the participant bank.
Ariana asked the question regarding calculating 25% reduction in revenues. Does it have to be a true quarter? Can we look at any 3 consecutive months, such as March, April, May, compared from 2000 to 2020, 2019? The answer is we don't know, right?
My understanding right now is it's a calendar quarter.
Right.
But it could, once we get the guidelines, it could be different.
Interesting question by Roger. We have a PLP approved loan. We have a number. We haven't closed it yet. Can I withdraw, cancel the loan, and resubmit when the guarantee is increased to 90% and the guarantee fee is eliminated?
Part of the problem with that is it's going to ask the question, have you ever submitted it before? I do not think you can withdraw. I don't think you would be wise to withdraw and resubmit. And one of the things that I have heard potentially, again, we have to wait for guidance.
It may be retroactive, yeah.
They may make it retroactive, so you may be okay.
Yeah, just hold off on it.
I just say don't get in a hurry.
Finally, Barry asked the question, can a PPP second draw be the first PPP loan for an applicant? And the answer is yes. Correct, Lance? You look confused.
You're talking about a second draw loan?
Right. In other words, can we get the second draw if we did not take advantage of the first draw as a small business borrower?
Well, it's not technically a second draw if they didn't get the first. Yeah.
Very good.
That's why I was like,
I saw that puzzled look on your face. I said, Lance, that isn't that difficult of a question. As Chris Hearn advised us yesterday, we need to be consistent with their terminology, and maybe we can doing that. Lance, what are you going to be talking about next Tuesday and Wednesday?
Tuesday, we're going to talk about PPP forgiveness subject to release of the information, and that one could be pushed. And then on Wednesday, we're going to talk about preparing for SBA's review process, understanding how it works, understanding what their enforcement capabilities are for you as an SBA participant lender, and how you can manage that process.
No, that's going to be critical. There's a lot of changes in that. Even the recent CARES Act changes had additional guidance for regulation of lenders, and you're going to see some spillover into Treasury and other federal regulators, I assume, as well. Keep the questions coming. We appreciate we're getting record numbers that are joining in. Hopefully we have at least some definitive answers. I have a whole list of questions Michael just gave me. We'll hold those over tomorrow. We'll talk with John Riosty. And thank you for joining us for Coleman Report Live and for supporting America's Main Street, one entrepreneur at a time.
Have a great afternoon.
Okay.